I took a solo trip to Chicago for the first time, and this is how it went. Chicago has never been a city that I yearn to go to, but people on my TikTok were telling me that Chicago is a great food city, and I travel for food, so I was like, okay, like, let me go. But I got there at around 5 or 6 at night, took a nap, and then at night at around 10 o'clock, I went to Au Cheval for my first meal. That root beer float was the best root beer float I've ever had in my life. I don't know what kind of ice cream they used, but it was incredible. The next day was my actually first full day in Chicago, and I was very excited because I was actually going on a food tour. I love learning about a city through its food, and Chicago, you all told me, is a food city, so I booked a food tour. First stop was Gino's East for deep dish pizza, but then I saw rainbow cone and I was like, oh, let me try that. So I got that as an appetizer before getting the pizza. And I've had deep dish pizza from Chicago before, specifically Lou Malnati's, and I thought Lou Malnati's was so much better than this Gino's East pizza. Like, it was literally just okay. But let me tell you about this hot dog from Portillo's. I've never had Portillo's before. I don't even really like hot dogs, but this was one of the most delicious things I put in my mouth all year. Like, I loved all of the vegetables on top of the hot dog. I loved the snap of the hot dog. This thing was fire. The food tour was awesome because it taught us about the food in Chicago, but also the history of Chicago. I just know so much about Chicago now that I would have never known had I not attended this food tour. Highly recommend doing food tours in new cities. Day 2 started at around 11:30, which is great because I was by myself, so I didn't have to worry about anybody thinking it was too late. And I started my day off getting lunch at Trivoli Tavern because a Chicago native told me I needed to come here, eat the food, and especially get the Butterfinger pie, which I did, along with their sticky date cake. And for the meal, I did get the pasta and then a lobster roll. But look at this Butterfinger pie. This dessert was as good as it looked, and now I'm 2 for 2 for Chicago restaurants. My activity for the day was to go to the Griffin Museum to check out the Anne Frank exhibit. It's like a special exhibit here. It does cost extra money, but it was worth every penny. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was getting ready to leave, but then I saw that there was a Paul Tazewell costume exhibit here, and I was just like, are you kidding me? And so all of his original designs and costumes for the Wicked movie was in there, as well as for Hamilton. Janelle Monáe's Met Gala outfit was there. Like, it was just such a happy surprise to be able to see this exhibit. It was stunning. I could have stayed a few more hours, but I had to leave because I had to go to Elenia, which is the #1 reason I came to Chicago in the first place. Elenia is a 2-star Michelin restaurant that specializes in molecular gastronomy, so nothing looks like it should taste, but everything tastes incredibly phenomenal. This whole entire meal cost $507, was 16 courses, and oh my god, every bite made sense. But that wasn't the best meal I had in Chicago. That went to another restaurant, and I'll tell you in part 2 because it's getting really long.